Cut one quarterback here, gentlemen. It is Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, or Anthony Richardson. Justin Fields, he's no longer the starter. Everyone in Pittsburgh is singing Russell Wilson's praises after that Sunday Night Football game. Quarterback 9 on points per game basis, though, isn't going to be a guy you can put in your lineup anytime soon, it seems like, but is he someone worth hanging on to? We also have Brock Purdy, quarterback 14 on points per game basis. Will be without Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season. We already mentioned as well, CMC not playing this week. We don't know about Debo. Kittle, Jawan Jennings also banged up. Could be thrown to Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall this week. And Anthony Richardson, man, the chosen one. I thought a couple of years ago, he's quarterback 28 on a points per game basis. Jake, who you cutting here?
Yeah, I would love to just cut Anthony Richardson here. Fields is like the obvious choice here, but I don't imagine Anthony Richardson really gaining any relevance this year. He in my mind, it's pretty clear he doesn't have it. He cannot read defenses. He cannot complete the easy throws. He just struggles in every
like
level.
20 games in the last 5 years. You know what I mean? Just
I get it, but at the same time, I just can't. I can't justify it. Like, if there's anybody who still believes in him, I'm just trying to sell. I'm praying for one good game and just trying to sell at that point. But it's Richardson for me. I just trust the other two, much more consistently to lead an NFL offense.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it, Steve?
I'm cutting Brock Purdy. I am again. I'm going to stand on my love of running quarterbacks. We need to have a chat, Mr. Pittsburgh, about Russell Wilson.
Dude, no, trust me. I've been the one guy.
Everyone is sitting there singing his praises about that. Bro, that man underthrew every pass he threw. They were bouncing off defenders, landing in his wide receiver's hands. He underthrew a screen pass by 5 yards. Listen, this is going to be a very short-lived experiment. I do not expect Russell Wilson to hold on to that starting job for too long, because eventually it's going to show. Defenses are going to stop playing over the top because he can't make the throw deep enough anymore, and he's going to start getting picked off left and right. They had a really good game. In a game that, frankly, I thought they were outplayed in. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of weird bounces and missed tackle. It was just kind of ugly. So, balls bounced off Garrett Wilson's chest and shit like that. It was just a mess overall. So, I don't see Russell Wilson being much of anything. Justin Fields will be a starter again this year, or I'll take the risk on it. Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy, right? He's going to be like the QB 15 every single week and never do anything spectacular. Why bother having him?
Yeah, I think you do have to cut Fields just if he's not starting. It's hard to roster a backup quarterback who's not even playing, but I am with you in that camp, Steve. I don't think Russell Wilson did a shit ton in that game. The Steelers defense set him up in plus territory multiple times. Kind of just a weird game overall. Didn't look good in the first half at all. Honestly, I was actually a little peeved off, just because I didn't want them to make the switch. And we have heard that Mike Tomlin was kind of acting as a rogue agent here and was the one who made this decision, even though not everyone agreed with it in his camp. I wonder if that was Arthur Smith. Maybe that was the owner. We're not totally sure. Either way, though, I think you are probably cutting Justin Fields. But I think, bottom line here, boys, we made arguments. You could cut in a couple weeks here. We could be cutting Brock Purdy or Anthony Richardson if things don't go well and turn around there in Indianapolis for AR5, as Daniel was alluding to him here, or if Brock Purdy can't get together with the backup weapons either. So I think we named all 4 of those quarterbacks we named and in the scope. I think we'd rather have than these guys at this point. Is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah,
maybe not Tua for me, just because.
Okay, yeah,
concussions, but otherwise,
true.
yeah,
true.
I'm still an Anthony Richardson believer. I won't lie. I still like him. I think he's a good talent. I think he just needs to get
he runs too. He runs,
but he needs to play. That's the thing. If he needs to play, he needs to get that experience.
Between Richardson and Purdy, I would cut Purdy before Richardson. What about you, Jake?
I'm cutting Richardson.
Okay. All right. Let us know in the chat, guys. Seeing a lot of different opinions on it. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move to running backs here. Cut one running back. Trey Sermon, Tyjae Spears, or Tyler Allgeier. Sermon has been somewhat surpassed here as the Jonathan Taylor handcuff. He did still see 9 touches, though. Still saw over 50% of the snaps here this past week. Goodson did see 14 touches, though, to Sermon's 9. Tyjae Spears, RB46 on a points per game basis, and was seeing roughly 40% of the snaps in what has been a terrible offense there. That was before he was injured, and Tony Pollard has been really good. Except, honestly, like, fuck Tony Pollard. Dude, want to hear about a bad beat? Tony Pollard at halftime, 69 rushing yards. I have the over 70, absolutely hammered, 4 units down on. I said, this is my bet of the week in the NFL. He finishes with 61. He loses 8 rushing yards in the second half. So
that has to be the worst beat of all, one of the worst beats of all time.
I couldn't believe it. So kind of fuck Tony Pollard, but I am a Tyjae Spears lover, so I do say that with a little bit of bias there. Tyler Allgeier, RB44 on a points per game basis. He does have 2 performances over 10 PPR points, but 4 games under 6 points as well. Who you cutting here, Jake?
It's Trey Sermon. He's the main player on this list that is just really bad at the sport that he is employed to play. So I wouldn't roster him in the first place, but I'm cutting him just out of principle that he is not good.
What about you, Steve?
Same. Yeah, it's Trey Sermon. I don't really know. I don't have much to add other than what Jake already said. You're getting lapped by some guy that, like, frankly, NFL defenses are like, who? Like, when he comes on the field. Yeah. I mean, and now Jonathan Taylor's back, so they're both useless. Like, Jonathan Taylor's going to be the bell cow again. So,
man,
bye, Trey.
I remember the good days of Trey Sermon at Ohio State, highly touted prospect coming out. A lot of love for him with the 49ers.
Slow running backs. If you're a slow running back, you are a useless running back.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. He is a bit slow, but he actually looked somewhat better than Goodson this past week in multiple.
He's a thumper. He'll get you 3 yards, but he can't break away. It's just he can't get past the linebackers, and that's at this level.
Had a nice reception. I was at least happy to say that, but I think if you have Jonathan Taylor, keep Sermon, and someone else has Goodson, and Goodson is rostered, keep Sermon on your roster. But I think aside from that, you can cut him. And honestly, like, I'm at the point, and I love Tyjae Spears, guys, but I'm at the point I'm okay with cutting him too. Like, I just don't.
You could cut everyone in the Titans offense and not miss them except for Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I absolutely. And let's talk about that here. Cut one wide receiver, boys. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Watson, or Odunze. Wide receiver 75, Nuke in that tight end or Tennessee Titans offense here. I mean, what can you say else other than he scored under 2 PPR points in 3 games? It's been atrocious for Nuke. Christian Watson also on this list. He's wide receiver 80 on a points per game basis. Also has under 2 PPR points in 3 different games as well. Odunze, not a ton better. He does have the bye, though, to factor in there. Wide receiver 67 on a points per game basis. Has scored double-digit points just once this season. That was without Keenan Allen in week 3, where he scored 23 points. So, obviously probably has the higher ceiling at this point. Better offense, it looks like, than at least Nuke is in. Christian Watson sharing with 3 other guys, but he is on a team with a guy who Eric told us last week, Jordan Love right now, if he played all 17 games, was on pace to have over 50 passing touchdowns. Like, he's averaging over 3 per game. It's an insane pace. With that being said, Steve, do you back Christian Watson? Do you keep him for that touchdown upside? Do you drop Nuke? What are you thinking here? Are you cutting? And you can only cut one. You can't cut all of them.
I know. We should really send them all, fire them all into the sun. But I hate to say it because I love DeAndre Hopkins, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. Because the problem is no one's coming to save the pass catchers in Tennessee. It's not a them problem. This is much like a Carolina problem, is that their quarterbacks suck. And that's unfortunate because I was actually a Will Levis believer. Not like that I thought he was going to be all world or anything like that, but I thought he would be competent. The fact that he's so wildly incompetent is crazy to me. And then you knew it wasn't going to get any better with Mason Rudolph. That was not going to be.
I thought it was, man. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. That's my guy.
And he sucks. He hasn't, honestly, the most impactful thing he's ever done in his NFL career is be bonked on the head by Myles Garrett. So, this man is not,
Hey, he got us to the playoffs last year, my friend. We were in dire straits, and he wheeled us to the playoffs. So,
yeah.
I got a little love for
Mason. A corpse could have gotten you to the playoffs, though. Listen, it's not going to be any better. It's not going to be pretty. DeAndre Hopkins, if he gets... The only reason I'd hold him is because they may trade him.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I think that's a good point. I would probably pick Watson then. Are you Watson then, Steve?
I'd
Probably.
I'd be Watson if that's what you're waiting for.
How do you feel about it, Jake? Like, it sucks to give up on someone like Christian Watson, who is A, as talented as him, and B, in such a good, one of the best passing offenses. But like, you can't feel good about starting him. Like, you're kind of crossing your fingers when you do.
Yeah, it's Christian Watson here, 100% for me. Like you guys mentioned, I think Hopkins is a prime trade candidate for this team. But also like he just hasn't got he hasn't been 100% healthy so far this year. He hasn't really gotten to play a full gamut of snaps in any game. Highest snap share on the season, 72.4%. And Rome, I think he was a rookie in the NFL. We just got the bye week. I think the best of Rome is still ahead of him this year.
Yes. Yes.
So it's pretty easily Christian Watson for me. He's in my mind the probably fourth most talented pass catcher in that room.
Yeah. That's tough to hear, man. I was such a high Christian Watson guy coming out as well. I have
really fast.
I was
really
such
fast.
an anti-Watson guy that I kind of had to be like I had to get in on Watson a little bit and like ride or die for him. And now it's just like, okay, yeah, he's just not that good.
I think he's better than Romeo. I for whatever reason, they just want to play. Like, I think Romeo's a better pass blocker and better player, but Watson's a better pass catcher, if that makes sense. So Romeo's just out there more.
Yeah. Dobbs wasn't even one of the guys that I said was saying is more talented than him.
Yeah.
It's I think Wicks is better as a separator. Obviously, he's got to figure out how his hands work and that he's supposed to catch the ball and not swat it to the ground.
Not that Watson's much better at that anyway.
Bingo.
Yeah, sure.
But Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, like those are the guys in the offense, especially with Jacobs there and his ability to catch passes. Not always going to go for a touchdown, as we very much know.
Almost never go for a touchdown.
But I like there's just so many guys that I think are more talented than Watson. I don't want anything to do with him this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, right in lockstep with us as well. Cut Watson slightly over D-Hop. Yeah, I'm with you. And let's get to the cut one tight end here. Isaiah Likely or Pat Freiermuth, gentlemen. Isaiah Likely, point per game, tight end 13 currently. And in games without a touchdown this season, he has failed to reach 5 PPR points in all 5 games. So it's pretty much touchdown or bust here for Isaiah Likely. Meanwhile, Pat Freiermuth, you guys know my love for Muth. I got him back here on the wall. I got a jersey of him in the closet as well. Points per game, tight end 15. But he's kind of, just been mid, like he hasn't burned you. He's only burned you once really this season, getting under 6 PPR points. However, he has maxed out at 16.7 PPR points. So lower ceiling than Likely, but higher floor. How do you play this one, Jake?
I'm cutting Likely. The man has 29 targets on the season, and 12 of them came in one game. And that was a game where Mark Andrews wasn't 100%. He saw the most double coverage he'd seen since becoming the starting tight end. Likely is not as good as people love to prop him up to be every single year. And Pat will at least be on the field. If I look at a play, I'm expecting to see Pat Freiermuth out there. If I see Isaiah Likely, I'm a little shocked, especially with Andrews, finally catching his gear again.
I think he's getting healthy. I think he's I really think there was some bad, honestly, listen, big J journalism guy here, got the degree, I promise you that, but kind of fucked the beat reporters in Baltimore, because I feel like they weren't telling us everything we need to know about Mark Andrews coming into the season. Like, he wasn't fully healthy here. So I'm
had
with
that
you.
Car accident. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It was a bad car wreck. Like, it was enough that it made news when it happened.
Right.
Yeah, that plus the tightrope surgery. Like, we're seeing that it takes guys longer than anticipated to get back to 100% after that. But he looks good. I didn't even think Andrews looked bad in that game where Likely got 12 targets, but Likely just can't earn targets if there's anybody else of note on the field.
It's also an issue in Baltimore, and you have to realize this. If Mark Andrews is the target guy there, everyone else, it's like Mark Andrews has 4 catches, and everyone else has one.
Other than Zay, Zay.
Even Zay didn't get that many this week, though. How many catches did he have? He had one.
Well, he got banged up a little bit too. I think that was
probably... but Zay will get his, but Bateman, he gets a couple catches, and then Aguilar gets a couple catches, and then Justice Hill gets a couple catches, and then
it's already a small pie too to begin with.
It's a small pie to begin with, and then the guy who's in section 3, row C, seat 4 gets a catch, and like it's just one after another, some random fucking guy coming into the game, and you're like, I thought he was dead, and he's not. He's catching passes for the Ravens.